Konnichiwa. I'm Keiko Nakamura, 72 years old, and today I'm giving you a list. Not a philosophy lesson, not a long reflection, a list. 10 specific things you can remove from your home right now, today, this weekend, before another month passes. I say right now with intention, because in my experience, the biggest obstacle to decluttering is not knowing where to begin. We look around at everything accumulated over decades, and the sheer volume of it freezes us. So we do nothing. Another month passes, another year. The solution to being overwhelmed by everything is to start with something specific. So here are 10 specific somethings, drawn from my own experience moving from Osaka to Sao Paulo, raising a family, running a seamstress business, losing my husband Hiroshi, and eventually learning to live beautifully and lightly in the space that remained. Each one is actionable. Each one is simpler than you think. Let's move quickly. Number 1, expired food. Go to your kitchen right now, or immediately after this video, and open every cupboard. Look at every can, every jar, every spice container, every condiment in your refrigerator door. I will tell you what you will find because I found the same things. Cans of food from 3 years ago that you bought for a recipe you made once. Spices from a decade ago that have lost all potency and are contributing nothing to your cooking except the illusion of a well-stocked kitchen. Condiments that expired before a specific person in your family stopped eating that type of food. When I finally went through my kitchen after Hiroshi passed, I found Japanese ingredients I had been saving for special occasions that had been in my pantry for 6 years. Dashi stock. Specific mirin brands I'd brought back from Japan visits. Waiting for a special occasion that, in truth, I was no longer cooking for in the same way. In Japan, there is a strong culture of freshness, shinsen, fresh ingredients, fresh preparation, food that is alive with flavor. A pantry full of expired items is the opposite of shinsen. It is clutter pretending to be abundance. Throw away what is expired. Replace only what you actually cook with regularly. Your kitchen will feel immediately more spacious, and I promise you, your cooking will improve simply because you can find and use what's actually there. This takes 1 hour. Do it this weekend. Number 2, clothes you stopped wearing. I am not asking you to make difficult decisions about clothes you genuinely wear and love. I am asking about the other category, the things you walk past every day without touching. Every wardrobe has 2 sections. The section you actually use, which is probably 30 to 40% of what hangs there, and the section that simply exists. Coats from a different life. Shoes bought for occasions that no longer occur. Clothes kept because they were expensive, or because they were gifts, or because you might wear them someday. My particular version of this was clothing related to my working life as a seamstress. Professional clothes for client meetings. Formal pieces for industry events. Garments I had made myself during years when I was demonstrating my craft to potential clients and needed to look a particular way. Beautiful things. Things I had genuine skill in creating. Things that belonged entirely to a chapter of my life that was complete. At 72, living alone, my actual wardrobe needs are simple. Comfortable clothes for daily life. A few pieces for dinners with friends. Practical layers for Sao Paulo's variable weather. That is genuinely all. The clothes from other chapters do not disappear when you donate them. In Japanese thinking, an object has a use life, the period during which it serves its purpose. When that period ends, holding the object past its use life does not honor it. Releasing it to someone in whose life it is still in its use period, that is the honorable action. Go through your wardrobe. Pull out everything you haven't touched in 1 year. Be honest. Then release it. Number 3, games and puzzles with missing pieces, or that you simply stopped using. This one seems almost too obvious to mention. And yet I would guess that 80% of people watching this video have at least one game, one puzzle, one set of playing cards with a missing card, sitting in a closet or on a shelf right now. When our children were young and living with us in Sao Paulo, we had games. Board games, card games, puzzles for rainy weekends. The children played them constantly. The apartment was full of that particular kind of noise: laughter, mild arguments about rules, someone accusing someone else of cheating at cards. Those children are now adults living in different cities. The games stayed. I kept them for years on the assumption that when the grandchildren visited, we would play them. Some of that happened. Most of it didn't, because children of this generation interact with games differently, and because many of our old games had pieces missing that I discovered only when we tried to play them, which created more frustration than enjoyment. A game with missing pieces cannot be played. It is not a game anymore. It is a box taking up space while generating a small background guilt every time you notice it. Check your games. Check your puzzles. If they're complete and genuinely used, keep them, enjoy them. If they're incomplete or untouched for years, they leave. This decision takes 5 minutes per item. Make it. Number 4, old electronics, cables, and cords. In Japanese, there is a concept of mono no tsukaikata, the proper use of things. An object has a proper use. When it can no longer serve that use, continuing to store it is not respect. It is simply storage. Old electronics cannot be properly used anymore. The phone from 8 years ago, the camera replaced by a better one, the small television that was moved to a spare room and then to a closet when the spare room was needed for something else. The cables, the extraordinary proliferation of cables for devices you no longer own in formats that no current device accepts. I had a drawer in my hallway, one of those drawers that exists in every home for items that have no other place, that contained cables going back to the early 2000s, chargers for phones I no longer owned, a cable for a camera model discontinued years ago, cables whose purpose I could not identify at all. I held a cable once for 15 minutes trying to determine what it connected to. I never figured it out. It had been in that drawer for at least a decade. Whatever it connected to had clearly left my life years before. Electronics can often be recycled responsibly. Many municipalities and electronics stores have collection programs. Cables can frequently be donated. Research one local option this week and make one trip. One trip. The drawer will thank you. Number 5, duplicate cookware and kitchen items. Here is a question I want you to answer honestly. How many spatulas do you own? How many wooden spoons? How many mismatched plastic containers with lids that don't fit anything? In my working years, Cooking for a family and regularly hosting community gatherings and dinners for Hiroshi's colleagues, I needed a fully equipped kitchen. Multiple pots for cooking large quantities, serving dishes in various sizes, utensils in multiples so that cooking a complex meal didn't require washing between uses. I no longer cook for 12 people. I cook for one, occasionally for 4 or 5 close friends. My kitchen needs are entirely different from what they were for most of my adult life. Yet for years after Hiroshi died, after the children moved away, I maintained a kitchen stocked for the family I had once been feeding. I had 8 coffee mugs for a household of 1 person who drinks green tea. I had 4 large stock pots when I now rarely make stock at all. The Japanese aesthetic empty space as positive presence, applies to kitchen drawers as much as to rooms. A kitchen drawer that opens smoothly, contains only what you actually use, and allows you to find things immediately, is genuinely more pleasant to cook from than a drawer crammed with duplicates you shuffle past every time you need the one spatula you actually prefer. Keep your favorites, release the rest. Your cooking will become more enjoyable simply because the kitchen is easier to navigate. Number 6, old linens. Sheets and pillowcases for beds that no longer exist in your home. Towels replaced by newer ones, but kept because throwing away a towel felt wasteful. Tablecloths for a table you no longer own, or for formal occasions you no longer host. When I downsized my household, when the children's rooms became first a sewing room and a guest room, and then when I eventually moved to a smaller apartment, I had linens for a home significantly larger than the one I was living in. Guest bedroom sheets in 3 sizes. Tablecloths for a formal dining setup I had released. Towels in condition ranging from excellent to I don't understand why I'm still keeping this. The reason I kept them, it felt wrong to discard something that still had functional life. A slightly worn towel still dries things. A pillowcase for a bed that no longer exists technically still works as a pillowcase. But here is the reframe that freed me. Animal shelters in most cities actively need old linens. Towels for bedding, sheets for animal comfort. Older items that they can use and wash repeatedly. My somewhat worn towels, my extra sheets, they found a genuinely useful second life. Objects that I had been storing out of vague guilt went somewhere they were actually needed. Check your linen closet. Keep what fits your current home and your current life. Donate the rest to an animal shelter or similar organization. You will feel both lighter and useful. That is a good combination. Number 7, luggage you no longer need. Luggage takes up remarkable amounts of space for an object used perhaps a few times per year at most. And most households have accumulated more pieces than they need. Old sets not fully replaced when new luggage was purchased. Bags kept from previous life stages when travel looked different. In our years building community in Sao Paulo, Hiroshi and I traveled regularly between Brazil and Japan. Long trips, large bags, the particular requirements of international travel with children and gifts, and the things you carry between 2 countries and 2 lives. We needed significant luggage. I still had all of it years after those trips had ended. Large checked bags sized for family travel. A carry-on style bag from the 1990s that had been excellent quality in its time and was now simply very old. Bags I had kept because they were still technically functional. Functional is not the same as necessary. Functional is not the same as fits your current life. Assess your luggage honestly. What do you actually travel with now? What size bags match your current travel patterns? Keep those. The rest, if in good condition, donate. If worn past usefulness, discard. Reclaim that closet space for something that serves your daily life, rather than taking up residence for the 23 days a year when it isn't being used. Number 8, product boxes. This one is specific but surprisingly impactful. Many of us keep the boxes that products come in. The box for the television, the box for the kitchen appliance, the original packaging for electronics. We keep them because we think we might need to return the item, or because we think the original box will be important if we ever move. Years pass. We don't return the item. We move, and we don't use the specific product box because the professional movers don't need it, or because we repacked everything in standard moving boxes anyway. And meanwhile, the product boxes stack in a closet or a storage area, taking up significant space, in exchange for a security they almost never actually provide. I had boxes from appliances I had owned for over a decade. At some point, the return window for those items had closed approximately 9 years earlier. The boxes were simply boxes at that point, taking up space in a storage area I could have used for something genuinely useful. Keep flat moving boxes if you know a move is coming. Release product boxes for items you've owned for more than a year. Make this decision once, firmly, and do not re-examine it. The space you recover will surprise you. Number 9, unused personal care products. Go to your bathroom, open the cabinet under the sink, open the medicine chest. Look honestly at what is there. Expired medications. These need proper disposal, not simply throwing in regular waste. So check local pharmacy programs for medication disposal. Cosmetics and personal care products you stopped using or that have expired. The accumulated small bottles of hotel toiletries, if you are someone who brings those home. Products bought for a specific purpose that didn't work as hoped and were stored rather than discarded. My bathroom cabinet, when I finally addressed it fully, contained skincare products from at least 4 different skincare approaches I had tried over the years. Each one had been purchased with some optimism, used for a period, and then quietly replaced by the next approach. Several had expired. Several I had completely forgotten owning. In Japan, the bathroom is a space of genuine ritual. Bathing is not merely functional, but restorative, a transition point in the day. A bathroom cabinet overflowing with unused, expired, or unnecessary products works against that sense of intentional restoration. Your bathroom should contain what you actually use, products you use daily, medications you actually take, first aid basics. Everything else is clutter in a space specifically designed for clarity and care. Clear it out. The space you recover will make your daily routines quieter and more pleasant. Number 10, books you will not read again. I have saved this one for last because it is, for many people, the most emotionally complex item on this list. And I want to address that complexity honestly. Books hold particular weight for people who love reading. They represent not just the stories or information they contain, but the experience of reading them, where you were, what you were going through, who you were when that book mattered to you. I understand this completely. I feel it myself. But there is a distinction between books that hold ongoing meaning in your life and books that simply exist on your shelves because you read them once, or because someone gave them to you, or because you bought them intending to read them and never did. I had Japanese novels I had read decades ago in Osaka, before my life in Brazil began. Some of them I would genuinely read again. They belong to my life in a continuing way. They are part of my ongoing relationship with Japanese literature and language. Others I had kept for 30 years simply because they had been on my shelf for 30 years. The reason for keeping them had long since become only momentum. I also had professional books from my seamstress career, technical references for techniques I no longer used at that level, pattern books for styles from decades ago, industry guides that were now outdated, important once, not important now, books that you will genuinely read again, that you refer to, that give you something each time you return to them. Keep those. Books that have been on your shelf untouched for years, that you have no real intention of returning to. Donate them. Libraries, community centers, schools, neighborhood book exchanges. Books want to be read. A book sitting in your home unread for a decade is not being honored. It is being stored. Let them move on to someone whose right moment for that book has arrived. The cumulative effect. Here is what I want you to understand about this list. None of these 10 items individually represents a major life decision. Expired spices, old cables, duplicate spatulas, linens for beds that don't exist, product boxes. These are not the emotionally heavy categories, not the late spouse's belongings, not the children's childhood mementos, not the items tangled in identity and memory. These are the practical, accumulated, quietly space-consuming things that make a home feel heavier than it needs to feel. And because each one seems small, they never quite become urgent enough to address. They just stay. But together, 10 categories addressed, one weekend of real attention, the cumulative effect is significant. You will open kitchen drawers more easily. You will find what you need in your bathroom without moving things. Your closet will contain clothes you actually wear. Your technology drawer will have cables you can actually identify. Your bookshelves will hold books you actually intend to read. The home does not just look different, it feels different. The low background effort of navigating around unnecessary things, the small daily frictions of a home overfull with items past their usefulness, these things reduce. And what takes their place is something quieter, something that in Japanese we might simply call ochitsuki, settled calm. I am 72 years old. I have moved between countries. I have built a life, raised children, lost a husband, run a business, and eventually learned to live simply and well. The lesson that took me the longest to fully absorb is also the simplest. The less you manage, the more you actually live. These 10 things are a beginning. Start with whichever one feels most accessible today. Finish it completely before moving to the next. Small, complete actions build momentum in a way that large, unfinished projects never do. I want to know, which of these 10 categories feels most urgent for you right now? Or, which one have you been putting off the longest? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one, and your answer might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Arigatou gozaimasu.